the research you've done and how familiar you are with your topic. So be aware of that, and if you're not sure if a story is a good idea, by my office and let's talk things through. Remember what your assignments are. You've got a trend story to do, looking at something that's happening, a new trend, a new piece of technology that's changing things. This is a basic feature story. The other thing is a news analysis. Think of something that is a piece of hard news and write about what its significance is. And then the profile, which will be the last story, which seems the easiest, but in some ways the hardest, because you're not just writing about your person, the subject of your profile, but really writing about the world that they occupy and how it is changing around them or because of them or to them. So where do story ideas come from? If you're, as I said before, if you've done your research, if you know your audience, know who you're writing for, think about the kinds of stories that they want to read, and think when something pops across your screen as a piece of string to be saved, think about how that really translates into a story for the audience you're interested in. Sometimes something hits you like a bolt of lightning or appears like a gorilla in the mist, if you've seen the movie from long, long ago. But think, that's happens only rarely, and when it does, hope to God that you've got a pen and a piece of paper or computer close by so you can write that down, get it out, and go from there. Sometimes you will really wake up in the middle of the night thinking of a story that you want to write about. And please don't go back to sleep until you've at least jotted it down. As I said before, saving string, gathering your research, when you put all this stuff together, the stories will bubble up and you'll understand the truest story that you can tell. The thing that that trips a lot of young writers up is thinking, okay, if something's been written about before, then how can I write about it again? And that is the question, is what is the fresh angle that you can bring to a story? And there's a bunch of different tactics. One of the key ones is localizing story. Take a big national story, whatever it happens to be, and write about its impact on your local community. If you read the New Yorker, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, USA Today, all these big national stories, all these trends you've seen happening in other places probably have some analog or some impact on a community or a town like Athens. So think about how to take something that looks like it's happening nationally and understands its impact here in town. National studies and new research papers are perfect things to take and try to localize for a specific audience. The other thing is to take some piece of news and try to write it from the perspective about what it means to people in the real world. And that means identifying people who are close to a situation, who understand and the impact of it, and talking to them, not just your average person on the street, who may not have an opinion on whatever the news happens to be. Anniversary stories are always classic things. If it's a year since someone dumped paint into Tanyard Creek, or a year since some other news happened, or 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years, coming back and seeing what has happened, especially on sort of years of significance in 1 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, is always a good way to come up with stories and analyze the impact of things. And then back to the saving string piece, the idea of mixing and matching stories and coming up with a couple of different trends or issues and seeing how they impact each other is another really great way to come up with new story ideas. So we'll be doing a lot of all of these things in class as we get towards building a story budget. But I want you to think of this in terms of new strategies for building story ideas and building ideas that really are going to work, that can translate into published stories. As always, ask me if you have any questions. Feel free to comment on this on the blog, or to let me know, or to ask about stuff in class. And I will see you on Wednesday.